How to 5 times lead capture from your channel without being salesy. Do you have a podcast or a channel here on YouTube and you'd like to capture more leads for your business? I've got a 4-part process to share with you that actually 5 times my lead capture from this channel. This 4-part process is problem, tool, link, and drop. Let's take each one of those individually. Problem. What problem do you solve? This is the first step, to identify the problem that your listener or your viewer is probably having. I recently read Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets. In this book, Russell shared a brilliant formula for how to identify the problem in a way that's going to make sense in the delivery. And here's what he suggested. How to blank without blank. Let's talk about the blanks. The first, how to blank, is what your client or your prospect wants or needs. How to get what it is that you want. Without, the second blank is whatever they fear or whatever's getting in their way or what they think the problem is with getting what it is that they want. How to get what you want without experiencing what you're afraid of. You have the formula? Let me show you an example of how I've done that here on this channel. So you see here, one of our top performing videos on this channel is how to get your kids to listen without yelling. So do you see the formula? How to get your kids to listen without yelling. Getting their kids to listen is what parents want to accomplish. Yelling is what they're tired of doing. And so I've plugged it into Russell's formula to come up with the title for this particular video. Now take a moment to think about what is the problem that your people are experiencing. What is it that they're looking for a solution to? How to blank. How are you going to fill in that first blank? Without blank. What is it that they're afraid of? Think about that for you, for what it is that you're offering. How to blank without blank. Got it? That's the first step. Now we're going to create a tool. Remember, it's problem, tool, link, drop. The tool is something that you can give them for free. Now, when I say for free, what I mean is they don't have to pay any money for it. This tool needs to meet 3 criteria to be an effective lead capture. It has to save them time, money, and effort. So you don't want to require a lot of any of those for them to receive what it is that you're offering as a tool. What I would suggest is that you take the problem and come up with a quick and easy tool to answer that particular problem. So going back to my example, how to get your kids to listen without yelling. All right, one of the keys there, as a psychologist, I've known this for years, is to use consequences that don't require cooperation. Now, if you're a parent, you're probably like what? What? And that's exactly what I want my audience to be thinking. What are you talking about? What kind of consequences? I have created a tool that is 1 page. Just 1 quick page. You see it says consequences that don't require cooperation, and then it's all on 1 page. There's not a lot of time that's required. I'm not going to charge them anything for it. It's going to save them some money. That's the kind of tool that I'm talking about. So think about what kind of a tool you could create to answer the problem that we identified in step 1. Hey, before I share those other 2 steps with you, these are just ideas that I have used that have worked very effectively for me. Would you be willing to +1 this? What are your brilliant ideas? What have you tried? Share in the comments down below what you've tried that has worked well for you. Let's get some ideas flowing. Okay, on to that next one. Problem, tool, link, drop. Let's go to link next. Using the example that I already shared with you, consequences that don't require cooperation, you want to create an easy link. So as you look at this example, here's the format that I would suggest. Your awesome website / their awesome tool that you're giving to them. Okay, so you'll notice here, drpauljenkins.com / consequences. The key here is to make it as easy as possible for them to remember. Now, you can also use things like a QR code that you tie to that particular link or URL. I do that when I'm speaking to an audience of live attendees because they can pull up their phone easily and scan that code up on the screen. I do want to make it simple so that they can remember it. That's why I'm thinking your awesome website / whatever the solution is that you're offering them. I set these up in my website through a little tool called Pretty Links. Pretty Links. It's just a plug-in to my WordPress site. There might be other ways that you would do this, but create a link that makes sense for the tool that you've created, kind of like what I'm showing you here. And this is the actual landing page that you'll see when you go to drpauljenkins.com / consequences. In fact, you know what? It's live. Go. Type that into your browser and you will see exactly how I've set it up. In fact, if you opt in for that, and I don't know if you want the consequences or not. If you do, that's the way you can get it. But even if you don't, go sign up so that you will see what kind of emails I send to fulfill that. You'll see the landing page like I've shown you here. I'm sharing everything that I know, so go use it if you'd like to. It's a live site. drpauljenkins.com / consequences. That's the link step. Let's go to that last step, drop. What I mean is drop the link that we created in the previous step for the tool that we created in the second step to solve the problem that we identified in the first step. Drop it into your content. The way that I typically do that is through bringing up the tool in a way that it creates some interest for them, and then I just work it into whatever the presentation is. I've given you some examples here of what that might look like. Usually I'll say something like, hey, don't worry about taking notes about this. I've got this already put together for you. Or, hey, don't worry about this too much. I've got it for you. And then you drop it into the content. So I'll say something like, just go to drpauljenkins.com / consequences, and I will put this right in your hands. Do you see how that works? So there's a few script ideas there for you. You can do this, by the way, if you are a guest on someone else's show. Last May, I was invited to be a guest on Jody Moore's podcast, Better Than Happy. Go look it up. It's awesome. And as she was interviewing me, I was talking about one of my models. Well, I've created a little tool for that. Because it's a visual model on an audio podcast, I was able to drop it into the content very easily by saying, hey, you don't have to just imagine this in your mind. I'll give you the visual. Go to drpauljenkins.com / Jody. Now, why did I use / Jody? Because I was on Jody Moore's podcast. You follow? You want it to make sense to the people who are consuming the content. So that's the one that I created as a guest on her show, drpauljenkins.com / Jody. I think that one's still live too. You can go check it out if you want to. And then they get a copy of the model that we were talking about on the program. So that's what I mean by drop it into your content. On this step, try to make it as natural and helpful as possible. Here's the energy behind it. You don't want to be salesy, right? People want to buy. They don't want to be sold. So you're not coming on with this big pitch of the thing that you're offering. You're simply identifying the problem. You're coming up with a quick and easy tool that saves them time, money, and effort. In fact, I mentioned Jody. I was talking to her about this process, and she said, the energy that you're going for is that if they are driving in their car listening to your podcast, or they've got an episode playing in their ear. You want them to actually pull the car over and stop so that they can get that awesome thing that you're offering them, because it's going to save them time, money, and effort. And it solves their problem. Okay, that's the energy. So that at the end of this experience, what they feel to say is, thank you. And what you feel to say is, you're welcome. That's the energy. This is not a high pressure sales pitch. It's solving a problem that they're already looking to solve and doing it in a way that makes it easy for them. The benefit for you is that you can 5 times your lead capture. Now I said 5 times because I went from a number of lead captures every month to almost exactly 5 times that number in just 1 week after I started using this particular process that I've shared with you today. I know that it works. Give it a try. Let me know how it works for you.